New YouGov poll. All of Zohran's policies have major national support. What? A new YouGov survey finds that nationally, Mamdani's policies are actually quite popular, including 57% support for government-owned grocery stores. What? What? This is nationally, not just New York City. What? Raising taxes on corporations and millionaires. Strongly support 52%. Some would support 17%. Some would oppose 10%. Strongly oppose 14%. Not sure 8%. It's not like people are even unsure. It's not like there's even a large percentage of the population that's like, yeah, I can go either way. People are just like, no, this is what I want. This is what I want really bad. 52% strongly support is crazy. It's crazy. This is straight up lies. We've been told we need more CIA policies in the last 50 years. Implementing childcare for every child aged 6 weeks to 5 years. 42% strongly support. Raising the minimum wage to $30 by 2030. 39% strongly support. Creating a network of government-owned grocery stores. 30% strongly support. I'm telling you, man, these are modest expansions of already existing social safety nets. And the very fact that there is an incredible amount of support for all of it is not even remotely shocking. This is why I said the Zohran method is replicable everywhere. And it doesn't mean it's going to always be the exact same policies, because like you have to adjust it to whatever the local needs are. Okay. But they certainly can make for a pretty decent national campaign. Why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't it be? Like even the permanently eliminating the fares on public buses has 27% strong support, 26% somewhat support. So even that reaches above 50%. Every single key policy position Zohran has advanced has majority support nationwide. Nationwide, not just New York. I wonder why Bernie Sanders is the most popular politician in the country. How shocking, how surprising. Bro, I live in Utah, and the most surprising thing I heard about Park City was that they have free public transportation. Wait, what do you mean? Why is that surprising? Rich people go and ski there, of course. Half of the stuff that Zohran Mamdani wants to do in New York is stuff that you literally pay for and you get and it works perfectly well. Or like, think about it this way. Fast and free buses, where does that exist in the United States of America? College campuses and Disneyland, okay? Like think, ski resorts where rich white people go to. It already exists. Okay? That's it. These are replicable ideas because they already exist. Another thing, government-owned grocery stores is seen as this like incredible thing. Oh my God, it's communism. It's like, yeah, you know where we have government-owned grocery stores? Every state in the goddamn nation. It's called the commissary. Every military base has one. It's just a willingness issue, okay? It makes sense and it works. The problem is people constantly want to plug their ears and go, nah, it doesn't work, bro. Shut the fuck up. No shot. No shot. Yeah, they have government-run liquor stores too, but that's besides the point. Oh, they're closing hundreds of commissaries and trying to privatize them? I know. Speaking of which, the Trump administration is trying to create a mutiny situation. At a time of like unprecedented affordability crisis, the Donald Trump administration is actively trying to make the lives of armed service members harder, which is really funny because like on the one end, they just keep pissing off the generals, okay, by being like, you're all fat and you're all woke and you need to listen to Pete Hegseth, who's hot and sexy and young and knows what he's talking about, okay? On the other hand, they're like, also, oh, are you guys having a hard time? Well, don't worry. We're going to make it worse by skyrocketing the price of groceries by privatizing them. Like, where does this go? I do not know, but it does seem kind of funny. It's like, it's almost like a playbook of like, what are the worst things you could possibly do? Okay? Because without the military, you're right? Like when all else fails, right? When it's utter bedlam, when it's utter chaos, there's a reason why these guys are all moving to military bases, right? They're moving to military bases because they're like, well, if the public actually inevitably rises up against us in like some sort of, you know, militant, violent revolution or something like that, you know, at least we'll be protected by the military. Okay, but you're also pissing off the military. It's just so interesting that they're not covering their bases at all. It almost feels like.
And the Democrats wanted to die on this hill. It's always the hill for illegal immigrants. First, you lied that the border was secure, and you let in millions and millions and millions of them. They got all kinds of benefits the rest of us can't get. Then you stood there and said, we're going to stop lawful deportations.
Who's moving to a military base? Stephen Miller did. A bunch of high level. I think JD Vance did, right? Gonna make us on Raw Dog IRL in China this week. Oh, don't worry. I'm ready. I already Raw Dog IRL. I already went. You missed it. We went to Tiananmen Square for the flag raising ceremony. Marco Rubio, Kirsty Noem, Pam Bondi. It's a suspicious number of high level administration officials that have moved to military bases. It actually is weird. It's weird as bro.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dana Perino, along with Kellyanne Conway, Jessica Tarlov, Joy Jones, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this.
That's my mood. That's my mood. You guys see that? That's my moody mood. Jessica.
Is the 5. After all that, a Democratic Party civil war is erupting tonight, just hours after a breakthrough on the government shutdown. 8 Senate Democrats broke ranks and they crossed the aisle to support a bipartisan spending plan to reopen the government. It was simple. In return, their promise a future vote on Obamacare subsidies. The bill still has to clear the House before it reaches President Trump's desk. And here's what the president had to say.
We'll be opening up our country very quickly.
Mr. President, that deal does reverse the mass firings your administration put through during the shutdown. Did you sign off on that, and will you abide by that if this passes?
Well, I will be. I'll abide by the deal. The deal is very good.
Even though Schumer voted no, the knives are out. Progressives are turning him into the scapegoat for a deal that doesn't lock in any guarantee on Obamacare subsidies. Lawmakers like Seth Moulton and Ro Khanna are calling for Schumer to be replaced. Others airing out their grievances with the bipartisan deal.
Oh, I think this whole thing stinks. And I think most members of the House caucus on the Democratic side are absolutely outraged.
We'll continue that fight today, tomorrow, this week, next week, this month, next month, this year, next year.
What this Senate is about to do is make a horrific situation even worse.
There's no way to defend this. And you are right to be angry about it. I'm angry about it.
And some folks in the liberal...
I heart eating shit. Oh, you mean the Democratic Party's resounding message that they're going to carry over to the midterms coming up? I heart eating shit, and you should too. You have no options. You must vote for the love eating shit party. Please keep eating this shit, because otherwise the opposition is eating more shit. Do you want to eat shit by the spoonful or by the shovelful is the option here. Awesome. And the craziest part about it is that, better things are possible. We have seen it. Okay. And that's what the Democrats, I think, like the establishment in both parties, fear the most. They fear that you will hope for a better future. They fear that, if you find the courage within yourself, if you find, if you recognize that we do have the capability to fix things, to make things better for the working class, for example, all of a sudden you're going to start demanding it more and more. You're going to start voting in candidates that will actually do that. And then that actually compromises the position. There is nothing as dangerous as the threat of a better alternative. Never forget that. The threat of a better alternative was presented by Bernie Sanders in 2016, and they hated him for it. And that momentum continued to grow, albeit not as fast as you would want it, not as exponential as you would have hoped. But that momentum has carried over year. And after a sequence of horrible defeats, even the liberal voter base of the Democratic Party, the self-identifying liberals, are also recognizing that things are horrible and that the centrist Democrats are constantly selling them out.
You want to see Schumer go.
The president is kind of getting what he wanted. It doesn't feel like a gentleman's agreement. It feels like Lucy and the football.
Now you're going to open the government up, and what did you get in return?
Right.
Nothing?
Right.
Nothing? This is the end of Chuck Schumer as we go forward.
I think Chuck Schumer, his days are over. If he cannot keep his caucus together, he needs to go. He needs to be replaced.
All right, we've got to have a great discussion. Kellyanne, on the day that this began, I said, we know how this is going to end. It will end with the Democrats having a cave because they don't have the votes. And in the end, it does. But Schumer walked himself into this situation. And now, do you think he'll have to go?
Probably, at least as the minority leader. He's been in politics, Dana, for 50 years, and it's starting to show. So you were correct on day one. You knew how it was going to end. The question was always, when would it end? And it ended almost 40 days later with the exact deal that the Republicans offered 35 days before and were rejected by the Democrats. There's no way to spin it. They caved, they capitulated, they should claim strategic bankruptcy. This is a party bereft of leadership, of vision, of ideas. And Chuck Schumer's had a terrible week. This was just the capper. His week started out with him not even acknowledging whether he voted for Mamdani for.
Nothing I hate more than the Republicans being correct. Okay? I can't begin to explain to you how much I despise being in an environment where some of these media demons on the right happen to make the correct assessment. It is so up, dude. These guys are assholes. They are assholes. The fact that we are giving these assholes not only a W, but also allowing them any kind of room to make correct statements about the state of affairs within the Democratic Party. Very frustrating. It's like, on the one hand, you got the Kellyanne Conways of the world making the correct assessment about Chuck Schumer's ineptitude. On the other hand, you got the Gavin Newsoms of the world taking advantage of the momentum and saying that the Democrats are pathetic. I hate that both, okay? I am terrified of a Gavin Newsom presidency. I think it is exactly the establishment Democrat dream. I know what it looks like to live under the banner of gruesome Governor Gavin Newsom. His worst issue is the most consequential one. It's housing. And yet, more and more liberals are getting on the Gavin train because he keeps saying the right things. He keeps tapping into the frustrations that people have. It's very, very frustrating.
And now you said we're going to shut down the government to make sure that they get Obamacare subsidies and premiums. And they got absolutely nothing out of it except a headache. If you're Chuck Schumer, you've got to realize this party elected people last week in blue states who never invited Chuck Schumer or Kamala Harris or Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton to campaign with them. It's a party at odds with themselves. They picked the wrong fight. And I think after 14 CRs going for Joe Biden, they can't turn around and do the same thing for the president. If you're upset, everybody, if you're upset because your flight was canceled, because somebody didn't get a check, you don't know if you're going to...
Dog, clean CRs 14 times for Joe Biden. It's not like there was a genuine agenda item that they opposed. Like, what are you supposed to? And they opposed it anyway. But half the time, the Republicans didn't even need to oppose because the Democrats were too busy fighting amongst themselves. The very same rotating villain structure that exists right now that is pissing off a lot of liberals existed back then too. And that made it so that like the Biden agenda was already undermined and crippled before it even got to the Republican side, before it even achieved any sort of Republican resistance. And the Republicans could stay unified and say, yeah, we don't want better things. We don't want any infrastructure spending. We don't want any spending whatsoever because the Democrats were too busy it up.
You only have one party to blame, and it's the Democrats.
I want to get to a bigger picture about the American people with Joey, but let me go to you first, Jessica, about this, because what are you hearing? Is there a serious drumbeat about Schumer leaving, or is that just people airing out their frustration for a day?
It's going to be way more than a day. So you remember what it was like after he voted to keep the government open back in March, and people thought, okay, well, let's kind of see how this goes. And it did feel actually surrounding this issue in particular that the caucus was feeling decent about his leadership. Yes, he was not the #1 surrogate out there on the campaign trail, but Democrats were coming off of a very good electoral week. So the big tent was in, full regalia. I was at a liberal conference on Friday, and people were pretty high on the idea that we were winning races, yes, in some blue states, but also in Mississippi.
I hypothesize about what a strong Dem party should have done here. I mean, I did every day. I did. There's no hypothesis. They accidentally lucked into it anyway without doing much because the people were already on board. They correctly blamed the Republicans for the shutdown. And then Democrats took ownership over it for no reason. It blows my mind. It's genuinely amazing that Trump was being forced to shut down a bunch of airports and flights because of funding. And Democrats right before Thanksgiving, when they would have had insane amounts of leverage, went, cool, let's cave. Being a supporter of the Democratic Party in 2025. Being a supporter of the Democratic Party every year is like this. There is no reason to hypothesize. There's no reason for hypothesis. Trump is literally as unpopular as Biden was at his worst, and the Democrats said, let's cave. Like, a lot of people will look at this and go, oh, look at these guys. They don't give a shit. Look at these libtards. They obviously don't care about people starving. It's like, dude, the Republicans don't care about people starving. That's the reason why it's this low right now. Okay? Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about, dude? The Republicans did like Gilded Age parties, Great Gatsby parties on the one side, while simultaneously telling the Supreme Court, we must starve the working poor. 42 million Americans. We will take away the additional SNAP contingency that exists for moments exactly like this one. Like, they went to the Supreme Court and they forced the Supreme Court to put a pause on it, dude. What are we talking about? People were very pissed off. It's just so weird how every single time Republicans are about to totally self-destruct, Democrats rush in and do something that bails them out. Probably nothing. I mean, yeah, it's impossible not to recognize it. You know, it's just, what are we doing? How many times? How many times does it have to happen? It is like if the Democrats are not the controlled opposition party, they're doing a really shitty job. You know, if they're trying not to be the controlled opposition party, they are doing a horrible job. If they are trying to be the controlled opposition party, then they're doing a spectacular job. This is how the controlled opposition party would work, you know? Like, we like to think one party rulership structure exists in other countries, but the Democrats basically operate as like the junior coalition partner that just goes, we can't do anything. Like, what the fuck are we doing? What the fuck's going on here, you know?
And in Georgia. And that, frankly, we were united around the fact that Democrats are the party that cares about people's health care. And that's what this fight was about. And I think the thing that stings the most is that not only the 8 senators who voted for this, but the reporting shows that there are a few more behind the scenes, apparently, that were telling them, please do this for us. We're more vulnerable than you are. Right. And that they didn't think that we were mature enough to hear that argument out loud, for them to come to us and say, these are the reasons we think we should take this deal. And maybe we should have taken it 3 weeks ago even, but right now I am hearing from constituents that are hungry. I'm hearing from constituents that cannot get to see their families. I am hearing from furloughed employees. So let's hold Senator Thune to his word. And apparently he and Dick Durbin had a conversation before Durbin, push this forward, where Thune said, I assure you I will bring this vote in December. That doesn't guarantee Mike Johnson is going to do it, though. But I understand the celebrating. I feel defeated by this, but Republicans still don't have a health care plan. This election will be about health care.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But this is a big L regardless. It was an unnecessary self-own regardless.
They are on the record again as not wanting to extend these ACA subsidies that mostly benefit their own voters. That is something that Democrats will be very willing and able to run on in 2026. And that'll spell electoral disaster for them. So it's not as if they're fully out of the woods here.
Joey, I was thinking about you earlier because I feel like you have your finger on the pulse of people. You fly a lot. You're back and forth a lot.
I do fly a lot.
And so the pain became so acute over this past week, and it's not going to stop for a while. You also had military people who were not getting paid. They were having to go to the food banks, for example. There's a lot of people that were dealing with this where the members of Congress...
I can't believe it, dude. The Republicans talking about people in food banks and how devastating that is one of the craziest things, okay? It's one of the craziest things to hear from Republicans. It's like, dude, what the do you mean? Oh, the poor working class individuals, the tired, the hungry. Trump, your guy, literally, personally cut SNAP. And while he was trying to do that, cut SNAP, you were running around being like, well, it's all angry, entitled black women that want SNAP anyway. That just happened. That didn't happen, I mean, it did happen under the Reagan administration as well, the welfare queens and stuff, but that has not stopped happening. It was happening last week. I was there. We were watching it, right? There was, we saw it with our own 2 eyes. Yeah, while they cut SNAP, they went against SNAP discounts too. It was insane. USDA tells grocery stores no special discounts for SNAP recipients. True cruelty. True evil, actually. Like, there is no other way to look at this. That was a week and a half ago, man. That wasn't that long ago. That was a week and a half ago. What the are we doing? What the absolute are we doing?